Hi, Gemma here from Calligraphy Gems. Today I'm doing a bit of a different video that is based on a discussion I had with some of my friends within the calligraphy community, and we were getting so kind of hung up on the logistics of running a business that I suggested that we record the wins of our business because, they are what motivate us to keep going, and we shouldn't just focus on the logistics of running a business. We should look at the reason behind doing a business. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the wins in my business from the literal start of starting Calligraphy Gems and learning calligraphy up until this point. And this video isn't intended for me to show off. It's just little wins in my business, some are bigger wins, and I just want to talk through them really so that you could see, if you have this on your list too, like it is a win and we should celebrate these more. So let's start with 2018. So this was the very start of my calligraphy journey. It was the first year that I experienced calligraphy. So the very first point on here, or the very first win, is that I persisted in my learning. So when I was gifted a calligraphy set for my birthday a few years ago now, it was a dip pen set, and the kit wasn't designed for beginners as such, so I had quite a hard time and there was definitely some frustration in learning. But I pushed through it because I believed that I could get there eventually. I switched to brush calligraphy and fell in love with brush calligraphy. So that is why it's my first point, because the very first part of, creating a creative business is actually learning the craft that you're going to be working in. My second win is that I joined Instagram. So it was quite early on in my calligraphy journey really. It was like 3 or 4 months in, and I set up an Instagram account with the intention of showing off my calligraphy to other people. Showing off sounds negative. I mean, showing my progress with the calligraphy, because I was very much a beginner and I wanted to document my growth from beginner to intermediate, etc. So, and I think that's a big milestone that a lot of people get stuck on, is actually being too scared to put their work out there. And something to keep in mind is that a lot of people won't be surrounded by calligraphy. So even as you're early on in your calligraphy journey, other people are going to be interested and excited to see your calligraphy. My third win in 2018 was that I started my first blog. So I think I've always kind of had an interest in blogging. I think I just like sharing my experiences, hence why I have this video today. I only posted like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I don't know why it kind of petered out, but that was when I started a Calligraphy Gems blog initially. And this last one was when I actually created calligraphy in front of other people, like being in the same room as someone and creating calligraphy, specifically in front of strangers. So I joined a local craft group and I was creating my calligraphy in front of other people. And I definitely did feel self-conscious doing that, but it was a great step that helped me to do workshops, for example, because I started to feel more confident in creating calligraphy in front of other people. Let's move on to 2019. Now, this one was a big one for me, and that was to put out my first YouTube video. Now, creating a YouTube video is something that had been on my wish list for years at this point, and yeah, I finally put one out. It was horrible quality. You can actually look back and see the dodgy angle and the dodgy audio of that video. But I put it out there and I continue to put YouTube videos out there. So that's the best way to grow, is, have a first. The second milestone was that I committed myself to running a workshop. Now, a workshop was something that I'd wanted to do, and I know what my personality is like. I might back out of something if I don't publicly state that I'm going to do it. So what I did is I told friends and family friends that I was running this workshop and invited them to a beta workshop that was in a few months' time after this date, so that I had time to actually plan it, but I was committed to running that beta workshop. And yeah, it kind of got the ball rolling for me in terms of workshops. So speaking of that workshop, I planned the workshop despite of fears, and the biggest hurdle for me was the logistics in terms of the venue. The venue was a big kind of mindset hurdle for me. I was really scared of contacting venues because I kind of felt inferior. I didn't feel like a professional yet. I felt that professionals were people who ran workshops professionally, but yeah, it was kind of a strange cycle because I felt like I couldn't be professional unless I ran workshops, but I couldn't run workshops unless I was a professional running workshops. A very weird kind of mindset limitation there, but I continued through it, and I ended up working with a lovely local coffee shop. Creative first workbook, so I created the workbook on Procreate, and this was quite challenging. It still continues to be a bit of a challenge. I think I need to revisit workbooks. But yes, I created my very first workbook. It took a lot of time, but I got there in the end. Yeah, and then I ran a beta workshop, which was around 8 people and a mix of family and close family friends. It was a bit scary, but I think because they're close to me, it relieved some of those nerves. And because they were close, they weren't shy about giving honest feedback, which was helpful for me. Now, another big milestone for me was that I made my first income from calligraphy. I still remember the feeling of this, and it was so exciting. I made my first money from selling a workshop ticket, and that feeling that someone was excited enough about me and my calligraphy services to pay me was the best feeling ever. And then another big milestone was running my first workshop. It was definitely really scary. I felt so anxious all morning because I was running it in the evening, and I finally got there. Everyone was really lovely. It all went smoothly, and yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out, and yeah, it motivated me to continue doing further workshops. And then my final milestone of 2019 was that I hit 50 YouTube subscribers. Now, I know to a lot of people this is a minuscule amount of subscribers. To me, it felt so significant. It felt like the work I was putting into my YouTube videos were finally being seen by people that weren't my mum. So that was a really exciting milestone for me. The first win in 2020 was my first Amazon affiliate sale. I was so excited that someone was clearly actually watching my videos to click through and make a sale. And yeah, it was just a really satisfying feeling. And then the second win for me was learning to edit my YouTube videos. So previously my boyfriend had kindly edited all the YouTube videos for me, but it was quite tricky to communicate what I had in mind to my boyfriend. It was just very tricky. The videos weren't coming out how I'd pictured them because I wasn't great at communicating exactly what I wanted. And I actually found that editing my YouTube videos was a better solution for me. And then next up is my second workshop. Now, I've put this down as a milestone because although, it's a second workshop, it was still out of my comfort zone. I still pushed myself to do it. I still felt a lot of anxiety, and I'm still so happy that I continued to do something that made me nervous in the hope that I would eventually become better at it. And then another win for me was that I was asked to do a chalkboard by a local business. So this was the business that I was hosting my workshops in. They'd seen my work and they'd asked if I would do a chalkboard for them. So that was the first time I'd been asked to do something by a business, and that is why it was a big win for me. My next win is that I relaunched my Instagram. So I had definitely gone quiet on Instagram. I don't think I'd posted for around, I want to say 8 months, maybe a couple of posts here and there, but I'd gone really quiet, and because of us being stuck inside all the time, I thought it was a good time for me to revisit it, and I got really into Instagram, and I enjoy Instagram following this kind of relaunch. My next win is that I had another Instagram story with my face in. Now this was definitely out of my comfort zone. Although I'd been doing YouTube videos, it was just a voiceover and my hands, you couldn't see my face. But putting your face out there is like another kind of scary milestone. So I was really happy that I did this. And a huge win for me in 2020 was launching my website. I put loads of work into it and it made me feel super professional. So that was a big win for me. Another win of 2020 was following kind of this Instagram story. I built up the courage to put my face in a YouTube video. And another YouTube related win is that I hit 100 subscribers, and that was a really satisfying win. At this point I'd been doing YouTube for around 2 years, so definitely not a big channel, but for me it was a really satisfying win, and I was so happy to hit that milestone. And yet another YouTube kind of win, and that was my first viral YouTube video. And when I say viral, I do not mean the technical definition of viral, but it was viral in relation to my other YouTube videos. So I think the most views my YouTube videos had received before was around 200 maximum. Of course, this one was receiving thousands of views, so that was such an exciting moment for me. It definitely felt really satisfying after working hard for a while on my YouTube channel to finally see a video do that well. Another win is that I hosted a Facebook challenge. So I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. I set up a Facebook group and hosted a daily kind of challenge to learn calligraphy by Christmas. And this is what is actually inspiring some of my work later this year, so I'm excited to launch that. And then the final win of 2020 is that I earned my first commission, my first paid commission. Someone trusted that I was capable enough to create a sentimental piece of calligraphy for them and pay me for it. So that was a huge win. That was so exciting, very scary, but exciting. And yeah, that was 2020. On to 2021, I revisited my workbook because it was over a year old, and I just made it look a bit nicer, a bit cleaner, added some pages that would be helpful. So that was definitely a win for me. And then a big win for me was hosting my first online workshop. I kind of missed a trick by not hosting online workshops in 2020 because I was so scared of technical issues that I definitely put it off. But I finally did my first online workshop in, I think it was February. Another win is that I received my first non-Christmas commission. So actually receiving work outside of kind of the Christmas period was an exciting win for me. It meant that I could continue to get work throughout the year. Another win for me was that I joined the Calligraphy Business Accelerator program that's run by Dina Calligraphy. And this was a big one because there is a financial investment up front to join this program, but I believed that the payoff would be worth it, and I trusted that I could make that money back for myself. So that was definitely a big win for me. Another win is that I met another calligrapher in real life, and she was super lovely, and it was just really, really nice to make a local connection and friend. And probably the biggest win, or one of the biggest wins of this year and Calligraphy Gem so far, is that I left my job. So this was a huge leap of faith, and one that I'm so proud of myself for doing, despite, I guess, negativity from other people. And I'm yeah, I'm happy to see how I progress. Another win was that I niched down. So as part of the Calligraphy Business Accelerator program, we're encouraged to niche down so that we can focus in our business. So I cut out a lot of services that I didn't actually want to offer but felt that I should, and this definitely helped me focus more on my business. Another win was that I hosted my first Zoom workshop. So the online workshop I'd hosted earlier in the year was a Facebook Live, whilst this one was actually via Zoom, and I didn't have much experience with this, so I was a bit nervous. So that is why it's a win for me. Moving on, I ranked second place on Google for local calligraphers, and that was a huge win for me because it meant that people locally could actually find my business, and it meant that I didn't necessarily have to pay to get local people to my site. So that was really exciting. And kind of leading on from this, I received my first organic inquiry. So someone had searched something, and because I was ranking second on Google, they came to me. Another win was that I turned down an opportunity. So this might have some negative connotations, but for me, I felt comfortable with how I niched down to say that actually I wasn't interested in that opportunity, and so I consider that a win. Moving on is that I reignited a collaboration with a local business. So the local coffee shop that I'd hosted my workshops at previously, I got back in touch with them, and we've built an even kind of better business relationship than before. So that was really exciting for me. Then a big win in 2021 for me was attending my first networking event. And it's very scary to put yourself out there, particularly when you left your job like a week before and you're now pitching yourself as a calligrapher officially. But I met some really nice people there, and I'm excited to continue going to more networking events in the future. Another win is my first Instagram reel and my first newsletter. So both of these felt out of my comfort zone, but the newsletter in particular, I'd been procrastinating on for ages and ages. I don't know why I felt so scared about doing this, but I was so relieved that I finally did it. Sometimes you just need to do it and then refine later. And my final and biggest win for 2021 is that I've made some amazing friends in this community, friends that I hope to have for years to come. They understand the industry, they understand what I'm going for, they're there for more support. They are just amazing, really. I'm so happy to have met them. And yeah, I hope to work with more of them in the future in more of a business capacity, like bringing them onto the YouTube channel, for example. Something I wanted to point out is that growth often doesn't happen overnight. It's often little wins that build up to grow your business. So I wanted to show you kind of the growth each year. As you can see, there's 4 in 2018. That kind of doubles for 2019. And then in 2020, again, I have even more wins. And it's just a little bit, but there is growth there. And then in 2021, you can see that the wins list is a lot bigger, and this is obviously up until the end of July compared to a whole year in 2020. So I expect this to be even longer. And I guess what I want you to take away from this video is that growth is gradual. It's the little wins that we should celebrate because they are adding up. You may not realise, but they are adding up. So I guess some homework for you is to create your own wins list and have a think about those little things that you might not think about now, but that were perhaps challenging to you at the time. And yeah, create a wins list. I would love to see them. Maybe tag me on Instagram. I would like to see how you've gotten on. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it insightful. Maybe there's wins on here that you also had that you hadn't considered. And have a good day.